Hi everyone, welcome to SRV Academy of Accounts. Here all my preparations and presentations are only in exam point of view. Follow my regular classes and get more marks in your semester exam. Subject Corporate Accounting 2, Chapter Liquidation of Company, Class 1. And today we are going to discuss yet another important chapter called Liquidation of Company. Without delay, let's we move on to the today's session. Yeah, start with the meaning of liquidation. Liquidation means sale of all assets on its balance sheet to pay off debts and obligation in order to dissolve the company. It is the process of winding down a company affairs and distributing any remaining assets to the company's creditors and shareholders if anything remains. So this is simple, medium. The liquidation is nothing but the winding up of company. At the time of winding up, the company is going to appoint a common man. The person is called liquidators. So he is going to sell the whole asset in the balance sheet, and he is having the responsibility to settle liabilities. So at the time of settlement, we should follow the procedure in order of sequence. And now see next the process of liquidation. I told earlier, the first one selling of all assets of the company, and second paying off its liability. I told we have procedure and secured creditors, debenture holder, preferential creditors, unsecured creditors, and finally preference shareholders and equity shareholders. Now, and types of winding up. There are three types: by the court, compulsory winding up, and number two, the voluntary winding up, the members of voluntary winding up, and creditors voluntary winding up. And third one, winding up subject to the supervision of court. So now you have a clear idea about the simple meaning of definition, the simple meaning of liquidation and process of liquidation, and what are the types. Okay. Now we move on to the performer, the format. Write down the heading, the liquidator's final statement of account, and make divide the what about six column: receipts amount, payments amount. So it simply say like a cash book, receipts and payment. Okay. And start with the debit side, the receipt side, to assets realized. Here fixed assets, the all fixed assets followed by stock, debtors, cash in hand, cash at bank, freehold property, leasehold property, work in progress, loans and advances, patents, trademarks, etc. So find the total value of assets realized, and followed by surplus from securities. So out of secured creditors, unpaid call money received. Okay. So what is mean by secured creditors? The company borrowed loan from banks with some surety. It may be land and building or shares. Okay, find the total. So this is the total receipts. So out of the total receipts, we have to pay the settlement one by one. Start with by legal charges, followed by liquidation expenses and liquidator remuneration. See here, we have to follow the working notes. So I told earlier, so the common man is going to appoint the person called a liquidator. So the company not in position to pay salary, we have to pay remuneration. So that remuneration out of the assets realized, out of what about preferential creditors, out of the percentage unsecured creditors. So we are going to have separate working notes. I'll tell you later how we are going to find the liquidator remuneration. Next, followed by debenture holders, by repayment of bank loan, by preferential creditors, by unsecured creditors, and preferential shareholders, by equity shareholders at last. So this is the procedure to settle the liabilities one by one. Okay. And finally, the calculation of liquidator's remuneration. How we are going to find the liquidator remuneration? The percentage amount of assets realized, the percentage of amount paid to the preferential creditors, and percentage of amount paid to the unsecured creditors. So find the total. So this total we are going to be transferred to the liquidator final statement. Simple. So this is a simple concept. Once again I have to explain. Listen carefully. The first, assets realized. So one by one, fixed assets, stock, debtors, cash in hand, cash at bank, freehold property, leasehold property, work in progress, loans and advances, patent rights. So what amount we realized, and amount realized from surplus, the security creditors, unpaid call money, find the total. Here we have procedure to repayment of what about liabilities. Start with legal charges, liquidation expenses and remuneration, and this amount remuneration we are going to find with help of working note, and followed by debenture holders, repayment of bank loan, preferential creditors, unsecured creditors, preferential shareholders, equity shareholders. So this is the procedure we have to settle the liabilities. I hope you clear about the concept of liquidator's final statement. See question number 1. The following particulars related to limited company which went into voluntary liquidation. See, the preferential creditors given 25, unsecured creditors given 58, 6% debentures given 30,000, and the assets realized totally 80,000 is given. The expenses of liquidation amounted to rupees 1,500, and liquidator remuneration was agreed to 2.5% on the amount realized and 2% on the amount paid to the unsecured creditors, including preferential creditors. So show the liquidator's final statement. In liquidator's final statement, they always you start with the working note, the calculation of a remuneration, liquidator remuneration. Okay, listen, we move on to the answer and write down the solution. Working note, calculation of liquidator remuneration. Okay, see, 2.5% of the amount of assets realized. So your assets realized given 80,000, 80,000 into 2.5, 2,000 rupees, followed by the 2% on the amount paid to the preferential creditors. Here how much preferential creditors? 25,000. 25,000 into 2%, 500 rupees. Next followed by the 2% of the amount paid to the unsecured creditors. Unsecured creditors, we have value 58,000. See here, you check whether at the time of payment of unsecured creditors, we have sufficient or insufficient of value. So how we are going to find the balancing figure? In the liquidator's final statement. Okay. Okay. Let's we move on to the liquidator final statement. So write down the heading liquidator's final statement of account. Here we make divider 6 column receipts amount payment amount. To start with assets. To assets realized how much 80,000 is given, and followed by the payment by legal charges we doesn't have, and by liquidation expenses how much 1,500 is given. By liquidator remuneration we are going to find the value out of the working note. Next followed by debenture holders 30,000 is given, and followed by the preferential creditors 25,000, and followed by unsecured creditors. So here we want to find the balancing figure. See my dear, here 80,000 we have. Out of 80,000 you deduct so far what we made a payment. So here liquidation expenses how much? 1,500. Okay. And liquidator remuneration. As and now we calculated the percentage of amount of assets realized and percentage of amount of preferential creditors. Okay. See, now we move on to the working note. As and now 2,000 rupees from assets realized and 500 from preferential creditors. So far 2,500. And next you deduct 30,000. Okay. And what about preferential creditors? Again you deduct 25,000, and balance 21,000 we have at the stage of unsecured creditors. So we have sufficient or insufficient. How much we have to pay to the secured creditors? In this question is given 58,000. Here we have only 21,000. So this is sufficient or insufficient? Insufficient. Now we go back to the liquidator's remuneration. 2% is an amount paid to the unsecured creditors. So balancing figure. How much we have? 21,000. So this is insufficient. So 2 by 102. So how much we have to pay unsecured creditors? 58. So we have balance 21,000. This is insufficient. So whenever insufficient value, just you apply the percentage 2 by 102. So here percentage is given 2. So that's why 2 by 102. Suppose the percentage is given 5, 5 by 105. If 3%, 3 by 103. So at the time of insufficient of fund. So here what is the value? 412. And find the total 2,912 rupees. So this is the total remuneration, the liquidator remuneration. So this amount we are going to record to the liquidator's final state. Now we move on to the liquidator final statement. So as per the working note, the liquidator remuneration, we recorded the value. See, out of 80,000, again you have to deduct one by one. So 80,000 minus 1,500 minus 2,912 minus 30,000 minus 25,000, and finally what we have balancing figure 20,588. So this is the final settlement to the unsecured creditors. So this is a very simple problem, my dear. I hope you understood the concept is very clear. In upcoming classes, we are going to work out so many problems related with the liquidator's final statement. Dear students, please subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon to get the further notification of my new uploads. So thanks for watching.